The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to the DocuSign Basics webinar. I'm Marilyn Clifton and I will be showing you the basic features and use of DocuSign. What is DocuSign? Well, it's a service that Coldwell Banker Elite uses to collect electronic signatures on documents such as your listings, your addendums, sales contracts, all your transaction documents that need a client's initials or signature. And an envelope is what DocuSign refers to the document or the group of documents that you're sending for a signature. So it's just really another name for a document or a file. So let's get started here. When you first log in to DocuSign, you come to this home screen, and you can see it's kind of like a dashboard. You'd normally come right here and you'd be ready to get down to business, send your envelopes, and you just select, click on New. But we're going to take a little bit of time over here in Preferences to make certain that you have everything set up. So what we're going to do is click on where you see my picture. You may have already uploaded your picture, and a drop down appears. My screen looks just a little bit different than yours probably because I am a company admin, and so I have an extra function here. But we're going to go to My Preferences. When you select My Preferences, you'll see over here on the left that there are several different things that you can do in your account. The screen defaults here to the Personal Information page. This is where you can upload your picture. You can see I've already done that. I could edit it, put a new picture if I wanted. Scroll down a little bit further, and you would be able to put in the company, your job title. That may already be filled in for you. When we first create your DocuSign account, sometimes we fill this information in, but if it's not, you can just go ahead and put the information in. Your address, your company address, and then scrolling down a little bit further, you can see that you now here have the option to select what your DocuSign signature will look like. You can see that I've selected one that I like, and I have the realtor logo beside it. But you could, we could add a new one if we wanted. I could pick this type of font and create it and say yes. And then now my realtor logo is gone. So if I want that realtor logo, I just click on Edit. And up here, I can click on the hyperlink to add the realtor logo to my signature. When I do that, excuse me, DocuSign wants to validate that you really are a member of the National Association of Realtors. So you would just put in your last name and your NERDS number. Now you can find your NERDS number. It should be on the card that you received when you joined your local association, and in turn the Virginia Association and the National Association. I don't remember my NERDS number right now, so I'm not going to do it, but you would just put your number in here and then press validate, and DocuSign would indeed validate that you are a member of NAR. And then the realtor logo would appear. And you can keep that there, and if you decide that you don't want to have the realtor logo, then you can come back here, and instead of where it says add the realtor logo when you edit your signature, then it would say remove it. So you can do that. So we have my signature. We're ready to go. That's how any kind of document that I sign, that's the signature that will appear. Now we're going to scroll back up here, and we're going to go to Privacy and Security. This is where you would change your password if you were one of those security-minded folks who changes their password every 90 days. You do have to know what your current password is in order to change it here. So this is where you would do it. I do not want to change my password because I'll have trouble remembering what my new password is. So I'm not going to demonstrate that. But if you wanted to do that, that's where you would go to change it. And then you can see here's my signature, how it looks, and we just created that. And over here, your ID card privacy settings, you can choose to select more things to appear on your signature line. I don't have that. I think it just kind of junks up your signature line. But if you want to do that, you can just click on it and it will add that to your signature. But you do want to have this show my ID card to other DocuSign users checked. And that is all we're going to look at on that screen. And we're going to go back up here and look at regional settings. Now, regional settings is really the time and date stamp that is going to be used on documents that you sign and send. So if you select Match My Computer's Time Zone, what will happen if we have a time change just like we did a couple weeks ago, your DocuSign will automatically reflect what's on your computer, and your computer's automatically changed to the current time zone and time like Eastern Daylight or Savings Time. So click that so that you don't have to come in here and change the time on your DocuSign. You can change the way that your date and times appear. You can choose any of these. One jumps out you that you like best, you just select that. And I have English, so I'm all set with my regional settings. And we're going to come back up and look at contacts. And what you can see in the contacts section is this is a list of many of the people that I've done business with on DocuSign in the past. If you wanted to, you could add contacts in this page, or if you send a DocuSign envelope to somebody, once you do that, they are automatically added into your contacts page. And you can clean this up if you'd like. Let's see, I'll just take Ann off. I can delete. It wants to know, am I sure that I want to delete? I say yes, and then now Ann has been removed from my contacts list. So now we're going to just look at a couple of things under the signing and sending section. That's going to be the connected apps. And this works similarly to DTR. When in DTR you integrate your zip forms. If you use Dropbox or any of these, Box, Google Drive, Salesforce, OneDrive, if you use any of these cloud storage applications, what you can do is link your DocuSign account to that cloud storage application. To do that, you would just, I have a Dropbox account. I do not have it linked to my DocuSign. You just hit connect for that application that you wanted to link. It would pull up your Dropbox login screen, and you would enter your username and then your password for Dropbox. I'm not going to link mine, but this is where you would do it if you wanted to do that. And then next we're going to look at notifications. You can see that I have all my notifications checked so that anytime any one of these actions happens on an envelope that I've sent out, then I'm going to be notified. And you can select as many or as few that you want. It's just really your personal preference. I just have them all checked. I don't really get that many. It's not kind of like the DTR notifications where sometimes you can get a notification on that every time someone sneezes in DTR. This is not quite like that. You don't get bombarded with DocuSign notifications. All right, now we're going to go back to the home screen. Click on Home. And I'm just going to briefly look at this page. As you can see, you've got an overview here. This is kind of like the view from 20,000 feet. I can tell that I have two envelopes that action is needed. I have two envelopes where I'm waiting for somebody else to do something with the envelope. I don't have any that are expiring soon. And our DocuSign expiration dates are defaulted to set to 120 days after the envelope has been sent. So if you send a DocuSign envelope out and 120 days passes and no action has been taken, then that document just kind of dies. That envelope dies and no one will be able to sign it. It expires. And you can see that I have 25 envelopes that have been completed. Now, I did want to show you that if you click on any of these in the overview section, it brings you to the Manage tab. So you can see right here you have those very same options that you had on the dashboard screen. See right there, they're the same. So it's just, if you click on Action Required, it just takes you to the Manage tab. So we are going to look in the Manage tab. We're going to come up here to the inbox. And you can see everything in my inbox from DocuSign. I can see that I have some envelopes that have been completed. I've got a couple others that I need to sign. We can go down to Sent. This is a list of all the DocuSign envelopes that I've sent out recently. And Drafts. These are all envelopes that I worked on, but I never sent out. And it saves it as a draft. And then there are the deleted envelopes. These are, like, I had a couple drafts that I was working on as I was preparing for the webinar that I've deleted because I'm not going to be using them. So that's the Manage tab. Now, and we already went over the quick view, what that is. If you wanted to create folders, I did create a folder for old DocuSigns that have been signed, and I've just dragged them over from that inbox screen. I'll show you how to do that. So let's take this one, and I'm just going to drag it over to the old DocuSign. And it's removed from my inbox, and now it's in this folder. I don't know that those are really very helpful, but if you wanted to set up folders, you certainly could do that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get down to the meat and potatoes of it, and we are going to work on sending a document. Now, we're in a screen where you could just click on New here, and you could start the envelope process. But when you log into DocuSign, you're going to be at this screen. And so you would probably be here to go ahead and start with your new envelope. So we're going to select New. And we want to send an envelope. So we select that. Now what we need to do is we need to upload the document that we want our people to sign. So you just click Upload. And then I'm going to click this list amendment, and I'm going to open it. If I needed to add more documents, I could do that here. I just have the one. What we're going to do now is, now we need to add recipients to receive this document for signing. I'm going to send mine to my client, and I'm going to enter his name here. And it remembers because he's in my contacts. So that was the direct method of entering him. If I had him in my contacts and I wanted to take a shortcut, I could just click, add from contacts, and it would, you could pull him over and add him that way. Now I'm going to add a recipient. Well, he needs to sign. So DocuSign is defaulted to the needs to sign action for each recipient. And that's fine for Dave because he does need to sign this document. I'm going to add a recipient. I'm going to add myself. I always add myself to all my DocuSign envelopes. And I do that so that I get a copy of the signed document on my email. And it's simple just to take that email attachment, download it to my computer, and then I've got it. Otherwise, I need to come into DocuSign, find the document, download it. It's just simpler for me to always add myself as to receive a copy. And I don't need to sign it. I only want a copy. So I'm going to change the action. You get a drop down of all the things that can be done. I'm going to select Receive a Copy. So we have our document, we have our recipients, and now I need to set the signing order. Dave needs to sign the document, and then I need to receive a copy. So I'm going to put Dave as the first signer and myself as the second person in the string of actions. So we're all set. If you needed to add more, you would just use the add recipient. If you had let's say you had a husband and a wife client, and they had the same email address. What you would do is you would put one as the first signer and put in their name and their email address. Then you would add the second signer and put in their name and the same email address. Make one signer number one signer number two. That way when the first signer gets it, then it's ready for the second signer. I prefer that if I have a husband and wife and they have their own email accounts, I prefer actually to send it to the separate email accounts. That way you know that the person who you're sending it to actually signed it. If you keep it with just one email account, then what could potentially happen is one person could sign it as themselves and then log in and sign it as the other signer, which is really not the way it was intended to be used. So DocuSign is very concerned with their authenticity. So I think by having separate email accounts, that does help. All right, so we have everybody in here. Now we're going to go up to the top and we're going to click Next. So our document appears and it's ready for tagging. I'm going to scroll down. Then we see that Dave needs to sign here. So I'm going to drag the signature field over here. And then we also have a date. We need a date that he signed it. So I'm going to put that in the date sign block. Now, as you can see, I really need my broker to sign this, although I don't have her name typed on here. The broker needs to sign this thing. Well, if you've forgotten to add somebody and then, you notice it when you're tagging the document, that's not a problem at all. What you can do is just come up here to the top, click on the recipients toggle, and you can edit recipients. So we want to add the broker because the broker needs to sign this listing amendment after the client does. So I'm going to add recipient. And it's going to be Kelly. Kelly's the broker, my broker. Kelly Walker. She comes up in my contacts. I can put her in there. And now I need to change the signing order. I'm no longer the second one to receive the document. I'm going to be the third one. And Kelly is going to be the second one. So we have Dave, we've added Kelly, and Kelly needs to sign, and then we have me. I'm going to receive a copy. So now I'm done. So now we have this document, but we still need to tag it for the recipient that we added. So you go right back up to the toggle up here of the recipients, and you can see Kelly's been added as a recipient. And you notice that she's in a different color. She's in blue. So if I click on Kelly, you notice that everything changed to blue. So I'm going to drag a signature line over for Kelly. I'm going to drag the date over for her. And so I have that completely tagged. It's ready to go. Now for a one-pager, it's pretty simple to see that yes, you have all the tags done correctly. You've got them all done. You didn't miss anything. But if you had multiple pages, you might want to come up here to the top to the Actions button, click on Preview. And this will just take you to a preview of your signers. And you can see right now I'm in the preview screen previewing as Dave Clifton. So, yep, I've got him where he needs to be. Now I'm going to preview as Kelly. She's where she needs to be. So all is well. The documents are right. And now I can get out of the preview screen by clicking on the little X. And I'm ready to send the document. Now I'm not going to send it, but because I don't want to clog up people's emails. But So I'm going to discard it instead. And it wants to confirm that, yes, that's what I want to do, and I say yes. So that's really the basics of sending a document via DocuSign for electronic signature. Now we're going to look at correcting an envelope. So what happens if you've sent a document to your client and the client says, well, I never received it? Well, what you want to do is you can go back to your sent emails or your sent envelopes to check and see, well, did I have the wrong email address? You know, what was the problem? So find the envelope that you want to check on. I'm going to check on this one right here. Well, let me check on another one, because I have that one set up. No, I'll check on it. So these are the recipient's email address. If I needed to change it, I would, if it was correct, I could just resend it. And so that you might alert your client, hey, look, I'm resending this DocuSign, be looking for it on your email. You know, check your junk, check your spam, check your clutter, whatever, so that they don't miss it again. Or if I wanted to correct it, let's say I had a wrong email in here, I was going to correct it, I could come down here and correct the email address by putting in the information, like another email. Whoops, I can't type. So I've corrected it. And then I can now go ahead and click Next. You can see that it's already tagged for signing, and then I could go ahead and send it. I'm not going to do that, but that's where you would make a correction. And you did notice, I'm going to discard that, that on the correct options, you have the option to add a document. Let's say I realized that, oh gosh, I forgot to include a document. Well, you could upload the document here, then you just go through and tag it. So that's how the correction works. But you can only correct documents where they have not been completed or signed by anyone. So let's just get out of that. And that is how you correct it. Now, what you can do as well in the correction mode is you can void an envelope. And to do that, you have to click on this More button. You find the envelope that you want to void. Let's say you had sent a listing amendment to your client and you met with them in person. And so you got her to sign the listing amendment. You don't need the envelope to be signed electronically anymore. So you come over here to More and then just select Void. And then you give a reason for the envelope to be voided and click on Void. And all of the people who were to receive that envelope are notified that you have voided it. Now we're going to look at a great feature, which is the ability to kind of strike through text on a document. And it's a very useful tool. So let's say you have a listing and you've received an offer. Well, the buyers have a term that your clients don't agree to, like maybe the sales price. So what we can do is we can strike through their offered sales price and enter a counter and send it via DocuSign. You might, in the past, maybe you got that first page that's got the sales price on it and you printed it off, you manually penciled through or struck through the sales price, and you put your counter offer price on it, and then you did the little crosshairs for the clients to sign. You uploaded it into DocuSign, and then you prepared the envelope and sent it out. Well, you don't have to go through all those steps. You can just do it right here electronically all the way. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to select New. I'm going to send an envelope. And this is a document with the sales price on it that we received. We received an offer. I have to fill in all this. Okay, he's popping up here. And even though I do normally add myself, I'm not going to do it for purposes of this demonstration. But okay, so we're ready to go. We've got the document loaded. We've got the signer. We don't need to set an order since he's just the only one on this one. And we're going to click Next. All right, so let's scroll down here to the sales price. Okay, so they've offered $239,000 for this property. Well, we don't want that price. Our property's worth more than that, so we're going to counter offer. So we're going to get the text field, and we're going to drag it over here, and we're going to put it right on top of the existing text. And if you want to, you can pull this out, make it a little bigger. And what we can do is we can just XXX. And you can adjust this a little bit so it strikes through. So we've struck through the price that we don't like. All right, that's in there. Now what we're going to do is we need to put the counter offer price. So we're going to put the text box, drag another text box over, make it a little bigger here. And I made it bigger by dragging on the corners. And we're going to add our text. You can do it right in the text field, or you can come over here and enter it. I'm going to put in 245. Okay, so now I have my new the counter sales price. And so we're going to want clients to initial it. So you're going to drag over the initial. And then we need to put the date on here so that we can keep track of what changes were made and when. And now it's ready to go. All I would have to do is hit the send button. It would be sent to my client. He would sign off on this counter sales price, and I would get it back with his initial on it, and we're good to go. Now, some of the other options that you can do, I'll just use this screen to show you. You can change some of the font sizes and other form field criteria here. You cannot change the size of the signature or the initial boxes. I don't know why. You used to be able to do that, but a long time ago, when I was first using DocuSign anyway, I would get contracts that had the teensy tiniest signature and initials, and maybe we can't change it anymore because DocuSign wanted a standard size. I'm not sure. Anyway, I haven't ever found anywhere in here where you can change that. So the signature you can't change, the initial size you can't change, but you can change the date signed. So if you click on it, let me delete this one, put it here. Come up here to formatting, and I can change the font. I can make it bold, I can italicize it, I can underline it, I can change the color. I mean, you can just do all those things by clicking on this formatting button. Let's just get rid of that. And I showed you already on the text button how you would change the size of a text. You would put it in and then just drag the size so you can make the text field larger. You can come over here to formatting And you can change the font to something that you like better than what's on there. You can change the font size, and again, the other items, the bold, italicized, and underscore, as well as the font color, the print color. Now, I just want to mention, I'm going to get out of this document, discard, and I want to tell you about these other features. Let's set one up here, new, send an envelope. I'm going to use the listing agreement again because I know it has boxes that I can check. Put my recipient in. And click next. So you can use these check boxes. I can see where you might use these check boxes for sending a listing agreement to your sellers, where you have that list of all the conveyances. If you were preparing that document and you didn't know exactly what the seller intended to convey and what they wanted to keep, you could put in check boxes. So you just click the check box, put it in by the little squares where the person would check. Now I can make this, it's a checkbox, excuse me, and it's in read only. And so when your client would receive it, they could check on it if they wanted that item to be checked. Or if you knew like what they wanted to convey, or in this instance that you were going to go back active, you could send it checked. So there you go. You've got your check mark on the item in the box. Let's go over here, delete that. And you can do a radio dial. And again, you can make it a required field, meaning that they have to check it. Or you could do read only. And or uncheck the required field, and when your client gets it, then they would check the they would click on the dots that they wanted on, like on the conveyances. Okay, we're going to delete those. And there is a drop down. I just don't know that why you might need that in any of the documents that we have, but you can do a drop down. You can make a list. Over here you can see where I'm going to have to create a first field. I could add what I wanted. And then it would be a choice on the drop down. That's how you do that. It would create a drop down so your client could choose between one of these two. I don't really think that's probably applicable. I can't think of a reason to do that, but if you can, then this is how you would do it. Okay, so we're going to get out of there. Now, one of the other things I wanted to show you is that you can, let's discard this, you can create an in-person signing experience. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're preparing a listing agreement for your client, and you get it all prepared that morning. You put it in DocuSign, you tag it, you're ready to go. What you can do is, you're going to be meeting the client maybe that afternoon, and your intention was that you created this listing agreement and you sent it to her, but you wanted to go over it with her in her presence while she was signing it. So what you do is you start you create your envelope. Let's do list amendment again. I do list amendment because it's just one page. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in our client's name. And then on the actions, instead of needs to sign, although they do need to sign, what we want to select is he's going to be an in-person signer. And that just means you're going to be with him when he signs it. So select in person. When you do that, then you have to put in your, you're the host for this signing session as the DocuSign account holder. So I'm going to put in my information, and then I've made this now for my client to get it and to sign in person with me being there. What happens is, I'll send that, or better tag it. Put his signature in, put the date, and then I'm going to send it. So now that's been done. Now it's in the afternoon and we're meeting with our client. So when you meeting with the client, you would log into your DocuSign account so that your client could sign the document. And you can see, since I'm already logged in, this is what it would look like. It's in the sent. I've sent this envelope, and I come over here, and it's the signing option. So I would click on sign. This is what you'd be doing in the presence of your client. You would log into your account, you would come to your manage your envelopes, you would go to the sent file, and you would find the one that you want to sign, and you'd click on sign. When I do that, here DocuSign prompts you the entire way, so it's really hard to mess it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click start. And then you see DocuSign's telling me, Marilyn, pass the control of this session to Dave Clifton. I just press continue. Those are so annoying. Okay, and now this is under the assumption now that I've handed it off to my client Dave, and he's going to read the agreement to do business with DocuSign. He's going to agree to it. We're going to select continue, and then we're going to click start. And he signs his signature, and we're done. And so what we have, we've gone over the listing agreement with him. He's signed it in our presence. We're going to finish it, and now everybody has an electronic copy. So that's a really nice feature. And let's say also that maybe you had sent an envelope to your client you weren't even expecting to meet with her, and you had sent the envelope. You say, hey, did you get that envelope I sent? They said no. Well, you could go in and correct your envelope to sign in person, like we did previously when we changed the address, where you could change the action type to sign in person, and that person could sign right next to you. So it's really pretty neat. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you, which comes in handy, is let's say that you need to sign a document. It's something that has come to you and you need to sign it. You don't send yourself really an envelope for that. Well, let me go to the home screen so you can track it better. So I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to say sign a document. So you've put the document that you need to sign into your computer. Now we're going to upload it. I'm going to do the tenant agreement. I'm going to open it. And then all I have to do is click sign. And I can drag over my form fields, anything that I need. And I'm done. I just click finish, and I've got it. I don't need anybody else to get it, just myself. But if you had needed to send it to a person, I guess you could have done it there. So that is about it for the basics of using DocuSign. One of the very best things that you can do is to practice, practice attaching documents, adding recipients, changing the field sizes, striking over text, anything. Just go ahead and practice. You can do like what we did. We got all the way up to the point of sending the envelope, and then we discarded it. So you can practice with that and not ever really send that many envelopes. But I would suggest that if you're new to DocuSign, that you send an envelope to yourself using like a Gmail or Yahoo or one of those private accounts, so that you can see what your client will experience when they receive a DocuSign envelope. So it's just really good practice, and you'll be able to walk them kind of through it because you've actually done it yourself. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I hope that the webinar was useful, and thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm glad to help. My email is mclifton@coldwellbankerelite.com, or your manager will be glad to help you, and as will your admin. Thanks. Have a good day.